Welcome to asterisk. Listen and enjoy a peaceful night's sleep. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. You'll be taken on a deeply soothing, dreamlike journey through a misty valley where a magical, sentient house awaits. A place that welcomes you with peace, healing, and the kind of rest that goes beyond the physical, a retreat for the soul. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Let your eyes begin to close gently. Asterisk. Let your body begin to rest. Asterisk. Let the soft hum of this guided story soothe your breath. Asterisk, tonight you're going on a journey to a place far away, yet deeply familiar, a place not found on any map. Asterisk, but known by the quiet parts of your heart. Asterisk, a long time ago, beyond the hills, beyond the fields, beyond the noise of the world, there existed a valley where time moved slowly. Asterisk, where the air shimmered with calm. And in the heart of that misty valley, there was a house, but not just any house. This was the house that sleeps, a magical home that had stood for centuries, waiting, always waiting, for someone like you to arrive, someone tired, someone caring too much, someone needing not just sleep, but rest. Tonight, you are the one arriving. Asterisk, imagine now the sky slowly darkening into deep evening blue. Asterisk, you're sitting inside a quiet train car, softly humming along a winding track, headed far away from the rush of your daily life. Asterisk, the window beside you is cool to the touch. Outside, the scenery shifts slowly. Rolling hills, drifting fog, tall trees silhouetted in dusk. No one else is on the train, no announcements. Asterisk, no schedules, just peace. You lean your head gently against the window, your eyes softening, breathing deeper with every mile. You're not watching time. Time is watching you. Asterisk, waiting. Asterisk, for you to slow. Asterisk, to soften. Asterisk is simply B. Asterisk. The train moves through a long tunnel. When it emerges, the landscape has changed. Asterisk, you are in the misty valley now. Asterisk, a blanket of fog curls around the fields. It hugs the trees, the river banks, and the narrow winding road ahead. Asterisk, the train slows and slows until it stops completely beside a tiny wooden platform lit by a single lantern. Asterisk, you step out, gently, without a sound. Asterisk, the air is cooler here, softer, as though it's whispering lullabies. Asterisk, your feet find the gravel path, and you walk. One slow step at a time. Asterisk, the world feels muted, wrapped in velvet quiet. No cars, No phones, no need to hurry. A soft wind passes, scented with lavender, pine, and something older. Something ancient. Asterisk, and in the distance, through the thinning mist, you see it. A tall, charming house tucked into a small clearing, windows glowing with golden light. Asterisk, chimney gently smoking, front porch waiting open like a pair of arms. It's as if the house had been expecting you. You walk closer. The path under your feet changes from gravel to cobbled stone, old and worn smooth. There are lanterns on either side of the walkway, each one lighting up softly as you pass, like they recognize you. You approach the front porch. The wooden steps creak just slightly beneath your weight, not in protest, but in welcome. Asterisk, the front door is painted a deep, soothing blue, with a brass handle shaped like a crescent moon. You don't need to knock. The door opens slowly by itself, and you step inside. The warmth wraps around you instantly. Asterisk, like a soft blanket just out of the dryer. Asterisk, inside. The scent is comforting, hints of cedarwood, cinnamon, and fresh linen. Asterisk, the floor is made of dark, polished wood, and your feet sink gently into an enormous rug, patterned with stars and vines. Asterisk, candles glow on small shelves, casting flickering shadows on the walls. Asterisk, the room feels alive, but peacefully so, as if the house is breathing with you. There is no music, yet the silence carries a melody, a rhythm only the soul can hear. Asterisk, you explore slowly, guided not by thought, but by feeling. Asterisk, to the left is a grand sitting room, overstuffed armchairs by a crackling fireplace, soft pillows in warm colors. Asterisk, a small table with an open journal resting upon it, ink and feather pen waiting. Asterisk, you could write something later, a dream, a hope, a wish. To the right, a hallway with arched wooden doorways, each room beyond it lit softly, inviting. Asterisk, one room holds shelves of books from floor to ceiling, old and new, poetry, fairy tales, blank pages for your own stories. Asterisk, another room has a wide bay window and a bench cushioned with velvet, where you can watch the mist shift outside. Asterisk, and then asterisk, at the end of the hall, a bedroom, your bedroom. You step inside. Asterisk, the bed is vast, draped in gauzy curtains, with pillows piled high like clouds. Asterisk, the linens are the color of moonlight, silver, cream, and the softest gray. Asterisk, above the bed, a skylight looks out to the star-speckled sky, perfectly framed. Asterisk, the breeze drifts in gently, cool and pure, through a slightly open window, beside the bed. A small knit stand with a steaming cup already waiting, warm herbal tea, just how you like it. A book lies next to it, the cover soft, the title familiar in a way you can't explain. It's a story you've never read but already know. It's your story. You sit on the edge of the bed, sipping the tea. It relaxes your chest, your shoulders, your fingers. You feel your thoughts slowing down, each one gently landing like snowflakes. The house seems to know what you need, what you feel, what you're ready to release. You lie back now, your head sinking into the pillow. The sheets tuck around you like arms, not heavy, not tight, just safe. The fireplace flickers softly in the corner. The mist curls against the window pane like a dream trying to find its way inside. You hear something soft now, the heartbeat of the house. Ash. Slow, steady rhythm, matching your breath. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And with each breath, you let go a little more. Of the stress. Of the tension, of the weight you didn't even realize you've been carrying. The house whispers, just barely audible, and a voice like distant wind and ancient wood. You are safe here. You are allowed to rest. You do not need to do anything now. Just sleep. And as the room begins to dim, as your limbs grow heavier, as your breath deepens, you feel the floor beneath you soften as if the entire house is floating, rising gently, rocking you ever so slowly like a cradle on a quiet river. You close your eyes, and the house. The magical sleeping house in the misty valley. Keeps watch. It will guard your dreams. It will carry your tired heart. It will hold your soul until morning. Sleep now. You're home. The fire in the hearth had burned low, the logs now glowing embers, soft and warm like the inside of a lullaby. Outside, the mist still clung to the windows, weaving ribbons of white across the panes like silk scarves caught in a gentle breeze. Elias stood near the window, a steaming mug of lavender tea in his hands. He didn't remember making it, but it was there. The scent was familiar, soothing, like he had loved it once in another time. He sipped slowly, each swallow calming his chest a little more, as though the warmth were seeping into his bones. House seemed to breathe with him. It didn't speak, not in words, but it did speak. In sighs of wind through its rafters, in the way the floorboards creaked in welcome, in the way the mist never entered the front door but wrapped around the home like a shawl to keep it warm. He wandered into another room, a library. Books lined the shelves from floor to ceiling. No labels, no categories. Just stories waiting to be read, heard, or perhaps remembered. One book, a soft-bound volume with a cover of worn leather, lay open on a small table beside a window seat. A candle burned beside it, its wax dripping slowly. Rhythmically, Elias approached and sat on the cushion. It was perfectly soft, supportive, like it had been waiting for him. The open book did not have words in the way books usually did. Instead, it had images, and those images began to move. He watched as a tiny cottage appeared in the middle of a golden field. A woman with silver hair was hanging wind chimes in the sun. The chimes tinkled as though they were speaking. In the corner of the page, small words began to appear. You are not lost. You are arriving. Elias blinked. The house, the mist, the journey, all of it began to feel like part of something deeper. Like this house knew things about him, about anyone who entered. Things even he had forgotten. Later that night, Elias moved toward the back of the house. There was a hallway that didn't seem to be there earlier, now lit with soft golden lanterns. Swaying gently as though in rhythm with a lullaby only the house could hear, he walked slowly, each step quieter than the last, as if the floor was muffled in pillows. There were doors on either side, all closed, but one, slightly ajar, inviting. Patient inside, it was a small observatory. A glass dome roof arched overhead. Outside, the stars had emerged, twinkling brightly even through the ever-present mist. It was as if the heavens had opened just above this house. There was a single armchair in the center, velvet blue. Over it, a soft gray blanket. Elias sat down, pulling the throw over his legs and tilted his head back out above him. Stars began to move, not in the chaotic spin of space, but in soft trails of light. Constellations danced for him, stories written in the sky. He didn't recognize them from any book he had read. These were personal constellations. One was shaped like a tree he had climbed as a boy. Another like the boat he once built with his grandfather. Another was simply a heart pulsing gently, reminding him of someone he loved and had not thought of in years. Tears prickled behind his eyes, but not the kind born of sadness, not the kind born from being seen. At some point, without realizing, Elias had fallen asleep in the armchair beneath the stars. In the house that sleeps tucked him in, gently drawing curtains around the dome to darken the light, dimming the room with a thought. Time didn't matter here. When he awoke, morning was just beginning to whisper against the horizon. Pale light filtered through lace curtains and the sound of birdsong, unfamiliar and sweet, danced in the air. He found himself smiling. He hadn't smiled like that in a long time. Not a smile of joy. A smile of relief. That day, the house invited him outside. The mist had lifted just enough to reveal a winding path that led into the trees. The trees were tall and gentle, leaves fluttering like soft applause. A small wooden sign stood at the start of the path. It read, "To the Garden of Remembering." Elias followed. Each step on the soft earth path seemed to lighten his feet. There were no insects, no harsh sounds, only a symphony of soft breezes, fluttering leaves, and distant chimes. The trail opened to a garden that was nothing short of magical. A round clearing, moss underfoot, tall hedges all around, and at the center, a small pool of water, perfectly still, reflecting the sky like a mirror, and benches. One of them had his name carved into it. He sat. The air shifted. Suddenly, he remembered his mother's lullabies, the sound of rain on the roof when he was a child, the warmth of hands that had held him through storms. Memories he hadn't visited in decades floated up like feathers on the wind. The water rippled, and in it he saw himself, not as he was now, but as a child, chasing fireflies in a backyard under summer stars. And he wept, but not from grief, from remembering that he was never truly alone. He returned to the house that evening. The sun was setting behind the misty hills, casting the house in golden hues. It looked more alive than ever, as though it had been breathing alongside him all day. Inside, the kitchen was warm with the scent of cinnamon and honey. A small note on the table read, "You're doing beautifully." He chuckled gently, took a bite of the warm bread waiting for him, and let the moment hold him. That night, as he lay in a bed that seemed to have shaped itself around his body, the house whispered to him, not in words, but in warmth, in rhythm, in the lull of wind and fireleggt, and Elias slept deeper than he ever had, like a soul being cradled by peace itself. The dawn was slow and gentle. The golden mist outside drifted like soft curtains, moving with the breath of the valley. Birds sang in low tones, never sharp, always smooth, like their melody knew you were still waking and didn't want to startle. Your peace, Elias awoke without effort, his eyes opening as if the light itself had lifted his lids. The room around him had changed once again. The bed was still soft. The covers still scented faintly with lavender and linen, but the walls were now a light siphon green, and sunlight spilled in through wide windows he didn't remember from yesterday. On the windowsill sat a seashell, its curves catching the light, and when he held it to his ear, it sounded like ocean waves. Even though no sea could be seen for miles, he smiled. This house didn't follow the rules of time or space, it? Followed the rules of comfort, of healing, of memory. Down the hallway, a new door had appeared, round-topped, made of dark oak, with vines carved into it like art. Elias placed his hand gently on the doorknob, which was warm, not cold, as though it had been expecting. He turned the knob slowly. Inside was a room filled with scent. Not overpowering, but deep and soothing. Sandalwood, jasmine, rain-soaked earth. It was a room of rest. Thick rugs underfoot, plush cushions all around. A low ceiling that made the space feel like a safe hideaway. In one corner stood an old record player. A vinyl already turning, even though no one had started it, and then music, soft, distant piano notes, like a lullaby remembered from a dream. Elias sat on one of the cushions. His breathing slowed, his eyes half closed, not from tiredness, but from serenity. Then the wall ahead shimmered. It did not disappear. It rippled. Like water. Within it, a vision emerged. His childhood bedroom. Not a perfect recreation, not a photograph, but the feeling of it. The worn stuffed bear he had hugged through long nights. The drawings taped to the wall, the little glow-in-the-dark stars still clinging to the ceiling. He reached out, and although his hand passed through the vision, warmth flowed up his arm. Recognition, love, the soft comfort of being remembered. The room was not just a room. It was a memory brought alive. A part of him brought back. Stayed there a while. Not thinking, not solving, just being. And when he stood up to leave, the music faded on its own. The house, as always, seemed to know when he was ready. Back in the hallway, another new corridor had emerged, arched like a tunnel with climbing ivy winding its way along the stone walls. It led downward, gently, into a dim, candlelit space. The room of echoes. It wasn't empty. It was filled with voices, not loud ones, not scary ones. Whispers, echoes of laughter, of kind words once said to him by people long gone. You're doing just fine. You're stronger than you know. I'm proud of you. As he walked slowly down the hall, Elias let them wash over him. He didn't need to know who had said them, only that they were true. His shoulders, long weighed down by life's burdens, began to rise again. Lightness returned to his chest, and then came a final voice, his own, much younger. You're going to be okay. He paused. Tears welled up, uninvited but welcome. It was strange how much he had missed his younger self. How little he had comforted that child inside. But here in this house, even that child had a home. Hours may have passed, or perhaps minutes. Time didn't move in this house as it did outside. Outside the room of echoes, a small sitting room waited. A low round table, 2 chairs, and a soft ticking clock on the wall, its hands moving just slow enough to remind you that there was no rush here. On the table, a pot of tea already steeped, its steam curled upward like a ribbon, and 2 cups. He poured himself one, the second remained empty, as if waiting for someone else thought. He didn't question it. Not everything needed explaining. In the house that sleeps, mystery and comfort existed side by side. The unspoken truth here was simple. You are not alone. You never were. That night, he returned to the observatory. Stars had shifted again. This time they shimmered in patterns he couldn't name. Not constellations, but feelings. Hope, safety, forgiveness, grace. Words didn't do them justice. You could only feel them. He closed his eyes. The chair cradled him like an old friend. The stars glowed behind his lids. The wind whispered through the cracks in the dome, not with cold, but with lullabies. His breathing slowed. Heart softened. The house that sleeps gently folded its walls around him. Outside, the mist returned, soft as feathers, warm as breath. Inside, everything was still and healing. Elias awoke to the gentle creaking of a window being opened, not by him, but perhaps by the house itself. Asterisk, the curtains fluttered like the wings of a butterfly, swaying in rhythm with the breeze that carried the scent of wet leaves and honeyed air. Morning in the misty valley wasn't loud. It arrived like a whisper, and the house that sleeps responded in kind, quietly, lovingly. Asterisk, he stretched under the soft blanket, then sat up slowly. The room, once again, had changed subtly. The walls, now the color of soft apricot, seemed to hum with a faint glow. A crystal hung in the corner, catching beams of light and scattering tiny rainbows across the wooden floor. Asterisk, when Elias stepped into the hallway, the air felt different. Not heavy, but deeper, like it was guiding him toward something important, yet still so gentle. Another door had appeared, a double door this time, made of pale birch, carved with symbols of plants, moons, and clouds. No knob, just a soft pulse beneath his fingers when he touched it. Asterisk, and slowly, the doors opened inward. He stepped into a garden, not an ordinary one. This was the garden of stillness. Asterisk, it stretched wide, hidden deep behind the house, protected by tall hedges and draped trees. The canopy above opened just enough to let beams of filtered light fall like golden ribbons to the earth. Asterisk, a stone path curved around beds of bluebells, whispering grasses, and silver-petaled roses that sparkled as if dew had never dried from their surface. There were no gardeners, no tools, no signs, and yet everything bloomed in perfect rhythm. Asterisk, time didn't press itself here. It unraveled. Elias walked barefoot down the path. Asterisk, each step was soft. Asterisk, the stones weren't cold. They carried the warmth of countless sunrises, like walking across a memory. Asterisk, to his left, a willow tree draped its arms down toward a pool of still water. He stepped near and looked down. It wasn't just water, it was memory. And the reflection, he saw a time when he had laughed uncontrollably with an old friend under rain clouds. Another blink, and he saw his mother's hands braiding his hair. As a child. Another moment, and there was silence, yet peaceful, like being wrapped in a warm scarf on a cold evening. Asterisk. He sat beneath the willow and let the moments rise and pass, like clouds on a lazy afternoon. There was no rush to understand. Here, memories didn't hurt, they healed. The wind shifted gently. A row of wind chimes, invisible until now, began to sing. Soft, harmonious tones that filled the air, like the sound of distant bells underwater, asterisk following the chimes. Elias wandered deeper into the garden, asterisk. He came upon a small dome-shaped glass house, a greenhouse, but also not that asterisk inside. There were plants he'd never seen before. Some glowed faintly in blues and purples. Some had petals that opened and closed with his breath. A few hummed low and melodic, like lullabies sung by the earth itself. Asterisk. One flower pulsed gently as he mirrored it, white with gold veins. When he touched it, warmth spread up his fingers into his chest, and then softly it whispered, not with words, but with a knowing. He didn't need to speak out, it knew what he was carrying. Every invisible burden, asterisk, and it asked only one thing, let it go. He nodded, asterisk, the plant shivered gently, as if accepting his sorrow, and glowed brighter for just a moment. He left something behind, something heavy, and in its place, peace filled the space inside him. There was a bench in the middle of the greenhouse, asterisk. He sat, asterisk, the sun filtered through the crystal roof, scattering light across the space like a prism. The hum of the plants, the wind outside, the silence within, all came together into something wordless, but whole. He closed his eyes, and for a while, he just was. No expectations, no past to hold, no future to chase, only breath, asterisk, and stillness. Later, as dusk approached, the garden took on a new color, deep indigo with hints of silver. Fireflies danced between tall blades of grass. The house, visible now through an arched trellis, glowed from within, golden and warm. Elias made his way back, but as he reached the edge of the garden, he paused. A tree he hadn't noticed before stood at the threshold, tall, elegant, with bark that shimmered slightly in the moonlight. It had no leaves. Instead, it had keys, asterisk, hundreds of small silver and brass keys hanging from its branches, each one softly, chiming in the night breeze. They didn't clang, they sang. A small wooden sign read, "Keys to Dreams. Take one, leave none." Asterisk. Elias reached out and selected a key, small, silver, with an engraving of a crescent moon. It was warm. The moment it touched his palm, the house doors opened for him. Without a sound, he stepped back inside, holding the key close, and somehow he knew the key wasn't just for a room, it was for himself, a door within, back inside. The hearth had been lit again. The fireplace flickered with blue flame, calm, steady, and oddly familiar. A new chair had appeared, oversized cloud soft, inviting him into its arms like a childhood memory. He settled into it. A book sat on the armrest asterisk when he opened it. There were no words. Asterisk, just pages of shifting color, moving like mist, like dreams forming before sleep. He watched, he breathed, he drifted, and the house watched over him. The house was quieter than ever before. Asterisk, not silent, no, never silent. The house that sleeps was alive with gentle sound. The creak of a timber beam in the ceiling, the distant rustle of wind dancing across the rooftop, the hush of leaves tapping lightly against the windows. Asterisk, but tonight something had changed. Elias could feel it, Dot. It wasn't an ending, Dot. It wasn't a beginning. It was a passage, like the breath between waking and sleep. He sat in the soft chair by the fireplace, the silver key still warm in his hand. Outside the window, stars glittered above the misty valley like they had been scattered by a dreamer's hand. The moon was rising slowly, large and golden, like an ancient lantern floating into the night sky. Dot. Asterisk, he stood. The book had closed on its own. He placed the key on his chest for a moment, closed his eyes, and let the feeling settle. Asterisk, then the house shifted once again. The hallway beyond the sitting room now shimmered with soft golden light. Candles had lit themselves along the walls. Each flame swayed gently as if bowing in welcome or farewell. Asterisk, at the end of the hallway stood a door. Asterisk, unlike the others. This one wasn't made of wood or glass. It was made of starlight, pale and glowing, with small constellations moving across its surface like tiny rivers of light. There was no handle, no hinges, only a small keyhole, glowing softly, waiting. Elias walked forward slowly. The house, warm around him, seemed to hold its breath. With great care, he placed the crescent moon key into the glowing keyhole. It turned effortlessly. Asterisk, the door opened, not outward, not inward, but everywhere. Beyond it was the dream room. Asterisk, Elias stepped through, and all sense of direction, of time, of memory became fluid. Asterisk, the room was vast yet soft, not empty but endless. Asterisk, a sky above, deep and ever-changing, swirled with aurora. Colors, greens, violets, soft blues. Beneath him, clouds moved like gentle tides across a silver floor. Stars blinked just beyond reach, yet felt so close he could whisper to them. Asterisk. And in the center of the room hovered a bed. Asterisk, not a bed of fabric and frame, but one shaped from dreams themselves. Asterisk, its blanket shimmered like moonlight on still water. Its pillows were filled with the breath of the wind. Its headboard was carved from ancient lullabies, passed down between galaxies. Elias approached. He knew now. This was why the house had called him. Not to fix him, not to change him, but to remind him. He was safe, he was enough, he could rest. Asterisk. He lay down upon the dream bed. It cradled him perfectly. The moment his head touched the pillow, the lights above twinkled in rhythm with his breath. Asterisk, one deep breath in, and the room pulsed with golden warmth. One slow breath out. Asterisk, and the stars dimmed slightly, as if preparing for slumber too. Asterisk, the house that sleeps was no longer a place outside him. Asterisk, it was now a part of him, within his chest, in his thoughts, in the deepest part of his being. Asterisk, and as his body softened, his eyes grew heavier, and his heart settled like a feather finding the perfect place to land. He heard the final sound, a lullaby, faint, old, true. Asterisk, soon not in words, but in feelings. The dream room grew fainter around him, fading into the hush of sleep. Asterisk, and Elias. Asterisk, the traveler, the wanderer, the dreamer, closed his eyes, and the stars sang into sleep. Somewhere far away, or perhaps just beneath your own heart, the house that sleeps still rests the misty valley. Asterisk, its windows glow with golden warmth. Its garden blooms under the moon. Its room shifts softly with every breath. Asterisk, and it waits patiently, lovingly. Asterisk, for anyone who needs to remember how to rest, to remember how to let go, to dream, to sleep. Asterisk, good night. Dreamer, you're safe now. Let the mist settle. Let the stars keep watch. Let your breath fall gently, like the petals of a rose at dusk. Asterisk, and sleep.